Hello, historians. This is the last video in our series about the history of the town and town hall of Mont Vernon. Today, in order to tell how the town grew from its lowest population of 302 residents in 1930 to the 2,584 residents counted in 2020, we are going to have to talk about the history of Nashua. The key to Nashua's success was its location. If you look at a map of New Hampshire and Massachusetts, you'll notice a spoke-like pattern of roads radiating out from Boston. These represent some of the first viable roads connecting the Boston interior to the American continent, and they retained their importance right into present days. Nashua was right on top of one of these roads. It has mostly become Route 3. The town developed a tavern business that catered to teamsters and other travelers that regularly made the trip from Boston to points north and west. As the 1700s came to an end, many turnpikes and canals were under construction. In 1802, the year after our town bisecting turnpike was finished, the Middlesex Canal successfully connected the Merrimack River with the Charles River, a river that emptied into one of the most important harbors on America's eastern seaboard, Boston Harbor. As the American Industrial Revolution caught hold in Lowell, investors bought up the land around Nashua's Mine Falls and planned out New Hampshire's first manufacturing township. Between 1823 and 1836, Nashua was a port township due to the canal boats that brought raw cotton and mercantile goods up from Boston Harbor and transported the finished products back down the Merrimack River to the Middlesex Canal. The canal system was eventually rivaled by the train system. In October 1838, New Hampshire saw its first locomotive. Where? In Nashua. By the 1840s, Nashua had machine shops, iron foundries, lock, bobbin, and shuttle manufacturers, as well as a flourishing trade, milling bales of cotton into cloth. And the boom just continued. By the time another 30 years rolled by, Nashua was connected to 6 major railroad lines, allowing manufacturers to ship their products anywhere in the world affordably and easily. However, manufacturing was destined to move south, where labor was cheaper, and eventually overseas. Once World Wars I and II were over, more and more of Nashua's mill buildings were abandoned. The loss inspired those that loved the city to find ways to attract new business. And attract business they did. Like other gifted businessmen we can think of, they tapped into the geopolitical issues of the time. The detonation of 2 nuclear bombs ended the Second World War and started the Cold War. America was motivated to maintain its lead in the nuclear arms race and quadrupled its spending on defense. Companies like Sanders Associates worked for the American government, hiring thousands of well-educated employees, many right out of college. Nashua was the perfect location for this company. Employees found plenty of cheap housing in the surrounding area, housing they could commute to and from with their automobiles. And so it was that the automotive invention that spelled the end to Mont Vernon's tourist trade at the beginning of the 1900s allowed families of Nashua commuters to repopulate the empty farm and village houses by the middle of the same century. The resulting spike in this growth trend caused the next wave of changes on our hilltop town, most of them happening in the 1970s. Take housing, for example. Out-of-town developers started buying up unused fields. Then they put a new road through them to connect the driveways of dozens of new houses. The very first of these housing developments was created in the 1970s. I'm looking at you, Spring Hill. Of course, most of these new residents had children, and children need education. As the 60s began, all grammar school children attended the McCullum Building. There were 3 teachers in 3 classrooms, each teaching 2 grades apiece. But this practice ended in 1970 when the town built the village school. Mont Vernon's 1st, 2nd, and 3rd grades stayed in the McCullum Building. 4th, 5th, and 6th grades moved to the new school. Middle and high school students were bused down to Milford. At first, the village school had only 4 classrooms and 0 playground equipment. A pine grove and an old baseball field were all those first students had to play on for recess back then. Only 3 buses were needed to bring children to and from the schools. 2 of these buses did their routes 2 times a commute. First with the middle and high school students, and then again with the younger kids. But the north end of town had so few children, they only did their route once. And the little kids had to ride with those great big high school kids. Everyone else walked because parents rarely drove their kids to school. And what about our town hall? In the 1960s, it was suffering from neglect once again. It continued to host town functions, but its wood-burning heating system was cumbersome and inefficient. Town employees worked from home. Paying taxes, registering your car, and even selectmen's meetings were conducted in the privately owned homes of Mont Vernon citizens. The 1970s brought some changes to our town hall as well. A partition wall was constructed down the middle of the 1st floor, creating town offices and a selectmen's meeting room. A new heating system kept the town clerk and tax collector relatively warm during their winter hours. They still had to use a 4-holer bathroom, though. Flushing toilets weren't added until 1985. Also in the 80s, the fire department declared the 2nd floor of the town hall unsafe for the number of people now attending town meetings. This was one of the reasons the multi-purpose room was added to the village school. Our town meetings have been there ever since. In the 1990s, the 2nd floor of our town hall, perhaps Mont Vernon's most historical space, became home for Mont Vernon's growing collection of historical artifacts, displayed and curated by the members of the Mont Vernon Historical Society. Despite the big changes in the town's population, schools, and other infrastructure, overall changes or maintenance of the town hall were minimal. And so, this old building creaked and groaned its way into its 3rd century of existence. After 240 years, the structure is showing its age. Fortunately, the committed efforts of the town's Heritage Commission has prioritized town hall restoration. And the work on the building structure could begin as early as next summer. The first of 3 phases slated to restore the building to its historic grandness. As Historical Society president, I am thrilled to be witnessing this momentous event. Whenever I climb the stairs to our museum, I think about those first settlers who harvested trees growing on their farms and dragged them over April snows and created a building that would last for generations. There was no money to raise and no one to hire. Citizens believed so strongly in their cause, they donated their own time and materials to build a space that would serve their civic and spiritual needs. They were thinking of themselves as they did this, but they were also thinking about generations to come. Their children and their children's children. As they built the town hall, they were also building a town, a community they hoped would thrive. Today, we have many organizations working to steward the town and its community into the future. Their work has become more important and more complicated each year as the town continues to grow. Most of these organizations exist through volunteer efforts. So please consider how you can support our wonderful little town. Town organizations are listed on the town's webpage. Most of them have Facebook pages or blog sites. My favorite is mvhistorical.org. Go there to find all kinds of local history, photos, videos, and other resources. I would like to thank all the amazing people who played a part in the making of Mont Vernon's history, and all of those that have worked so hard to preserve it so future generations can learn from it. My name is Anna Rohrabacher-Zach. I'm the president of Mont Vernon's Historical Society. Love your history, Mont Vernon. Thanks for watching.